So, Maddy, you have a ADHD brain, so you will understand this. I watched a TikTok that was like what it's like to have ADHD, so I definitely think that I'm on the spectrum because they were adding me really hard. But I just stared blankly at my keyboard, forgetting the word plot. That's why it took so long. I couldn't remember that word. I was like, what do I fucking write here? What note do I make? I don't fucking know.
That's ADHD for you.
Yep, no, that happens. Anyway, so yeah, let's get started.
Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I'm Maddy Grace Spiffle-Webben.
And today we'll be playing the final part of DanganRonpa, Trigger Happy Havoc. And I almost got through it without laughing.
Come on, Sam. You gotta work on your straight face like me.
I of the three of us, I have the only straight face.
That's true. Yeah.
That's why my straight face is so good, because you have to practice your straight face when you're in the closet.
Yeah.
But before we talk about it, the last chapter's name is just Ultimate a lot of things. I don't remember them off the top of my head.
Ultimate all the things.
As we've learned,
Ultimate.
the chapter titles in this game are pointless and facile, so who
They're
cares?
so dumb.
They could have just called this one the ultimate end of the game.
Yeah. This
But
one
it's
actually
not,
was a little on
technically.
point. It does tell a story where it's ultimate despair, ultimate hope, ultimate something, ultimate death. That's what we do in the chapter. It's better than last week's.
From being nonsensical to being accurate but uninteresting.
Yes, which is this week's. But before we get into any of that, how is you guys this week?
Oh, it's fine for me. I don't think much of anything happened except lots of work. Yeah, I had some RP events in Final Fantasy, and I got my DanganRonpa playthrough done earlier in the week. So
Yeah, you were done real early.
I started Tuesday night. Because I was like, I need to see how this ends.
It's
I need
good.
answers to these questions. Yeah, it's good.
And then some of them were answered. I had a pretty uneventful week mostly. I did get one major thing. I got offered and accepted a job on Tuesday.
Hell yeah.
So that's nice. It's a second job that I have. Gonna be some supplementary income. I immediately beefed it. I didn't beef it. It's just that and I won't say what the job is on the pod, but I think I've told y'all in private already. But basically, you're supposed to be doing at least 10 hours of work a week, and it's pretty. Actually, I'll just tell you in a vague way. It's doing phone calls for a political candidate, which is normally what I do for free, but this time I'm getting paid for it, which rules. Anyway, we're supposed to do 10 hours of calls a week minimum, and it's pretty totally flexible. You pretty much literally just go to the calendar and pick a slot that no one else has picked yet, or even that someone has, and be like, okay, I'm going to do 2 hours of calls here. But the thing is, the guy was like, cool, you're hired, do this stuff, here's some paperwork. And normally with a job, it's the onboarding is very hands-on, and they tell you what to do, and then you do it, and they tell you what to do next, and you fill out the paperwork. This time, I was kind of waiting to hear back, also a little bit lollygagging on paperwork on account of, I don't have a printer, so it's a pain in the butt to print something. But then, basically, after a couple days passed, I realized I haven't heard back from them. Basically, I realized I probably should have just gotten to work. I still should do my paperwork, but I should have also just started hitting the phone, while working on it, even though I wasn't actually done yet, and they'll pay me once I'm done. But I didn't, because I didn't realize I was supposed to. So I had to send the guy a message being like, hey, I know we just talked about the job expectations, and I immediately failed to meet them, but that's because I was confused. I'm gonna do the work that I'm supposed to do. I'm gonna do a good job starting next week. Okay, thanks, bye. it was a little bit. He didn't actually respond. I think he actually takes his weekends off. So hopefully on Monday he'll be like, actually you're wrong. You didn't misunderstand to begin with. You were fine all along. Or he'll be like, yeah, you did misunderstand, but like it's chill. Right. It's still a little funny though. Little funny that I immediately, in my opinion, kind of beefed it. But yeah, anyway, I'm really excited to have the supplementary income, even when even not counting the whole COVID situation, I'm always struggling financially. And I already tell you, my bank account has the highest number it's ever had. I'm not going to tell you what the number is because it's embarrassingly low. But it is the highest.
$5.
You'll be like, wow, that's the highest? Really? That's the highest you've ever had? Okay. Little embarrassing. But yeah, my bank account has the most money it's ever had in it, and it's going to keep going up. So I'm really, really feeling good about that because, as I think y'all know, finances is like, I get a lot of anxiety, but it's almost always just about my finances. Let's say material living circumstances in general. Finances, housing. I mean, I know that stuff gets to everybody, but like, I feel like it gets to me more than most people. Like, I get the kind of debilitating anxiety that people have when they have like a, some sort of serious clinical anxiety disorder, which I have not been diagnosed with yet, though I do think there might be something going on. I just don't have health insurance, so I can't. But I pretty much only get it when it has to do with paychecks or rent or something like that, right? Personal strife, I can deal with that much better, frankly. Like, I can deal with that very, very well. So it's very nice for me to be in this situation. I feel really good about it, and I'm in a good mood. So that's me. Other thing was I did another stream on Saturday, and it was a really, really fucking fun time, and I'm looking forward to streaming our next game. Sam, remind everyone what our next game is.
Our next game is Chrono Cross, and you guys will be hearing us talk about it the second week of August, because next calendar week from today, right now, here in this club on Sunday, I will be moving to Madison, Wisconsin, 18 hours away, and driving that with a 6-month-old who spent all day today crying. So it's going to be a fun next weekend for me. So looking forward to that a lot. Though. It's very exciting.
And
I'm
good.
really, really dreading the drive. But
yeah, it's going to suck ass.
Yeah. But,
are y'all doing it? Are y'all one-shotting it?
I'm going to try. We're leaving at about 8 p.m. and then I'm staying up all night to make the most of their sleeping hours. And then the next day we're going to see how it goes after breakfast. And if they're chill for longer than 20 minutes, we'll try and make a lot of time. But if they're just obnoxious, then I'm just going to fucking go to sleep, pull over somewhere, because that's ridiculous. But
yeah.
It'll be a whole lot of fun.
We will be giving you, I would say, like parenting energy, but we don't have any of that. But I'll send you, hopefully, like gay energy is transferable to straight parenting energy.
Hopefully so. But
the exchange rate is on that nowadays.
I am incredibly terrified of driving this trailer. I'm going to try to just never have to back up, but if I don't back into our parking spot here in Austin, it'll be a bitch to
right. So you at least have to do it back up one time.
Yeah, and that is horrifying. I'm hoping I don't ever have to back up again. I'm going to find a way to loop around for basically everything, because driving forward with the trailer is just don't slam on your brakes. Driving backwards with the trailer is this whole new law of physics you got to work with, which is I've never driven with a trailer, so yikes. Yeah, and all of the like tips and tricks where they're like, oh, imagine you're driving with your hand on top of the wheel, but put your hand on the bottom of the wheel. So then when you move right, you move right. I'm like, yeah, that works for people who don't like understand circles. And for me, I'm not moving to the right. I'm moving it counterclockwise. I'm moving it clockwise. Like I'm moving it in a circle. It is still the same motion for me because I normally drive from the bottom. And so
yeah, your brain is like, I'm not thinking in terms of hand motions. I'm thinking in terms of wheel motions.
Yeah. And so
I am the car.
I'm too geometric for my own good, so we'll just fucking see. And if I die next week, Bernard can take my spot. He's already done it. He's good.
You're not
he
gonna
can edit
die.
too.
You're
so.
probably not even gonna like have a single incident. You're gonna be like 100% fine.
Yeah. The good news is we get the U-Haul for 5 days, and it only takes 18 hours to do it. So if we shit the whole bed and only do 4 hours a day, we'll still make it in time to bring back the U-Haul.
Good. And you'll even have a bit of time to if you want to lollygag on the unpacking. You could even do that.
Yeah. So as long as it doesn't take me 4 whole days to make this trip, it'll be fine. I probably will be able to do like 2 9-hour chunks if I have to cut it up.
Yeah, and that's
I'm
very
hoping to
doable.
do just 1.
9 hours.
Oh yeah, that's
fucking bad.
Yeah, especially overnight 9 hours. Like fuck it, that's easy as shit.
I think the most I've driven in one day was when I moved to California, which I think I did a 12-hour day. Oh no, me and Bernard were taking shifts, so we never had to do, and I never had to do more than like 5 or 6.
Yeah, I've done an 18-hour straight before. I was coming back from Cincinnati thereabouts. One time we're on the way up, we stopped in the middle of the night and did a second trip. But on the way back, I just said fuck it, and I just kept driving when I was supposed to pull over, and I just listened to the Game of Thrones audiobook the whole time, and nice. That made it go by super quick. So I'm picking out audiobooks for me to listen to on the way up, just so that it just is cake. So wish me luck on all of that.
Will do.
But yeah, I also, we always spend about 10 minutes before we get into the thing, and apparently podcast listeners hate that. So fuck them, because I'm never going to stop asking you guys about your week.
I honestly always kind of figured that this was like not typical podcasting best practices, but I like doing it, so I never said anything.
Yeah, because if I don't ask you guys about your week for the first 15, 20, 30 minutes of podcasting, then I don't have any social interaction for the week, because seriously, being a parent is hard. So I'm going to ask you about your week.
Well, I feel
every
that way
single
too
time
because of COVID, but you feel this way all the time.
Yes, I felt this way, so I started the whole podcast. But yeah, let's listen to that beautiful ending track sung by Makoto's Japanese voice actor, as Eli found out, and we will go from there.
So we start with as usual, a brief little flashback. Makoto reminds us of the Ultimate Despair, a group that caused the tragedy 1 year ago and set up this killing game, broadcasting it to the world. The most evil group in the world. That is our enemy. But for now, we're still in a trash pit. Also, the special master key that Kyoko has works, so we're out. But to where? Chapter 6.
I really thought
Ultimate
when I first
Pain.
got here. I really thought when I first got to the trash chutes, this was going to like be an adventure game for a second. Where like, oh, you gotta find your way out and like get this item to be able to do it. And sure, I wouldn't like suddenly have an inventory or anything, but like I would like go through the motions of finding. Oh nope, you just click on the exit and you walk out like it's nothing.
You just go out. I mean, she said it opens any door. So anyway, ultimate pain, ultimate suffering, ultimate despair, ultimate execution, ultimate death. Drive-in Honda, the final chapter. There's a chute with an enormously long goddamn ladder, and you climb it like you're in goddamn Metal Gear Solid 3. While they're climbing, they talk. We ask Kyoko how long she's been a detective. She says since she was born. It's in her blood. Her family is a long line of detectives who sees it as their sacred duty. She says detectives are totally neutral. Right or wrong, their goal is simply to reveal the truth. She wants to tell her father. She wants to sever all ties with him and tell him to fuck off. It turns out he was a piece of shit whom abandoned his family and his duty as a detective. Ever since then, everyone always pitied her instead of taking her seriously as a detective. They just saw her as the poor girl whom got abandoned by her father, so she needs to get rid of him from her life forever. She says they're connected by blood, but not by heart or soul. We talk a lot more, but eventually we get to the top of the ladder. And hey, remember that hatch on the ground near the trash room way back in Chapter 1? That's where we come out of. Nice. We're back, bitches, ready to fucking destroy. Makoto's really worried. When Monokuma finds out, Kyoko then says, let's just go directly to him and get it over with. You see, during that trial that we just had last week, the mastermind showed their ass. She says, there was a moment when the mastermind let their guard down. If we confront him, we'll be able to confirm it. So, let's go to the gym and have his ass. So we head to the gym and we say, Monokuma, you bastard, show yourself. We don't literally say that, but he's pissed. He's like, ugh, how are both of you back? Fine, I'll just fucking execute Makoto again. Kyoko says, if you execute Makoto, it means you lose. Monokuma is actually confused about these. Like, I don't understand. So she continues. She calls him all the way out. All the stuff that we kind of suspected and kind of knew last week, she lays it out more clearly. Monokuma set up that entire fake-ass trial to defeat Kyoko by framing her up. But Monokuma never imagined that Makoto would intentionally take the fall for her. Like Byakuya in Chapter 4, Monokuma underestimates the power of friendship. So, when everyone voted for Makoto, so remember, he'd planned for everyone to vote for Kyoko, whom he framed, and then he'd kill her. But everyone votes for Makoto instead, so he panics. He'd lost. So in a panic, he says, Makoto definitely did it, and executed him instead. But there was a second unexpected development. Alter Ego stopped the execution. Kyoko says what we probably all suspected by this point. Neither of them killed Mukuro Ikusaba. Monokuma killed Mukuro himself. Executing Makoto for it would actually be a violation of their own rules. Monokuma rejects this and says, fuck off, you have no proof. Kyoko says, no matter how deeply you try to bury it, there's only one absolute truth. She believes in her friends and has no more despair. She says, we are confronting you with nothing but hope in our hearts. Monokuma's like, I don't care, fuck off. But then Kyoko drops the bomb. She's not trying to convince Monokuma. She's saying, now that she's explained everything, if he still executes Makoto, everyone out there watching would be extremely displeased. It would prove that despair can never kill hope. That's why she was so belaboredly explaining everything that we already know. She was explaining it for the cameras. She says, feel free to prove us wrong. If you really want to prove that despair wins in the end, to everyone watching this, you gotta do it fair and square. The last showdown between hope and despair. She challenges him to a retrial. Now, Makoto still thinks, why wouldn't Mastermind just kill me right now anyway? But Monokuma accepts. But he ups the ante. He says this is the final showdown, so you have to uncover the truth of Mukuro's death and solve, quote, each and every mystery of this school. If you don't, I'll execute all of you. Kyoko asks him one final question. One final questions, I wrote here. She says, hey, just to clarify, you said that the regulation is, quote, when one student kills another, a trial will be held, right? You also said that the Mukuro murder was held according to regulations, right? Monokuma confirms. This entire time since the killing game began, there have only been the 16 students in this school. He's mad and leaves, possibly for good. Kyoko says, phew, he wasn't sure if that was going to work, but now they got to prepare for the final battle. Kyoko says that she knew he had no choice because of when they let their guard down. We ask, what was that? She says the fact that he hijacked the airwaves to broadcast our school life to the entire world. He told us that. If they went through all the trouble of doing that, which would be a huge pain, and setting up this whole thing, they must not just be a psycho asshole. They must have a reason. They must need to prove a point. The point is to take Hope's Peak and force them to kill each other to prove that spirits are more powerful than Hope. That's why they can't break their own rules, because then it would undermine the point they were trying to make. So, because of the viewers, their hands are tied, which is our true secret and our true trump card. But then she reveals that she didn't actually really know any of this. She was pretty much just making a bet and was actually really nervous. But she didn't show it because that's the key to successful negotiation. Makoto remembers what he learned last week, which is that Kyoko is a badass. Now all that's left to do is work together with everyone against the real enemy and win. Oh, we should probably go see everybody. So, we get to the dining hall. Lol, Monokuma is there again, but at this point he's totally on the fritz on account of his emotional freakout. Everyone is here. They're so happy to see Makoto. It's super sweet and precious and hopeful. And then everyone's like, yo, bro, what fucking stinks? Because you've been in the trash. Also, oh no, this makes Toko horny. So we tell everybody what's up. Seriously. We tell everybody what's up. We say the last trial was a fraud. We're redoing it. Toko does mention that we had no right to unilaterally agree to the final battle, which put all of their lives in danger without their consent, which, like, she's right. We again say, oh boy, time to work together as a team with the power of friendship. But this time Kyoko says, hold up. She reminds us. Monokuma said, only the 16 high school students have set foot in Hope's Peak Academy this whole time. Subtract Mukuro, and that's 15. Subtract the dead, and that's 7. Wait, no, excuse me. There's only 6 people who are alive at this point. I must have miscounted in my head. Not only is it possible that one of the remaining 6 killed Mukuro, but that person would be the mastermind. So all along, we're back to the old thing. One of the 6 that we're seeing not only is the killer, but is all along the mastermind. Nighttime announcement. Monokuma says the game has now entered true ending mode, and therefore he will now unlock every room in the school. Everyone goes off on their own. Not really, because they don't trust each other. It's more like they all have a mutual understanding that anything goes at this point, and one of them definitely could be a traitor, but not in like a mean way. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of like in Phoenix Wright, where they have that sort of dialectic of like the prosecutor and the defense attorney are actually like working together to find the truth, even though they're against each other. It's kind of that. Mm-hmm. It's interesting, but they are still like, we logically speaking can't trust each other, so we're all going off on our own. Even me and Kyoko do, not really because we don't trust each other, just because like, hey, we might as well split up and cover more time. So we're like 20 minutes into the chapter, and it's already investigation time. Although, as you might expect, that doesn't mean that it's a short chapter. This chapter's got a really interesting structure. The entire chapter is an investigation, and it's a very long one. So, we have so many places to check. There's like 5 new rooms at least, plus rechecking. Okay, hey car. Hey buddy. It's cool. Yeah, you got a loud car. Thanks, man. We got to recheck all the places relevant to the murder from before. So, this time around, I typed up all the things I normally do. I normally write evidence, testimonies. I write evidence for all the truth bullets. I write testimonies for character testimonies. I write scenes for like plot scenes that happen that need to be told, aside from just saying there's a plot bullet. And then lingering questions. And I sometimes have other categories as well. This time, I didn't do any of that because it turns out there's not really an investigation. It's all scenes. So this time around, we're going to read through the scenes because they're all elaborate. It's never like, oh, you see some blood on the ground. It's never anything like that. It's always like elaborate scenes. So we're just going to go through the scenes, and I'll mention the truth bullets as they pop up. Also, for my questions category, I literally just wrote lol at the end because what isn't a question at this point? So here's how we go. First of all, as a reminder, the Monokuma file. So we're relitigating last week's thing. If you recall, the body was dead, and then it blew up after being dead. It had been stabbed through with a knife, but we found out already that wasn't really the cause of death. They were also struck in the head with a thick metal object, which we determined was the cause of death, but now we're reinvestigating, so maybe it wasn't. And also the body was covered with a bunch of other wounds, which were at least several days old. Of course, that's still important, so I'm reminding you all. So first I go, it's non-linear, but I go to the headmaster's room. It's what you'd expect. Big fancy desk, lots of books, but Byakuya is there and shows us there's a student registry on the desk for, quote, class number 78, which is all of us. We're class 78. That's the class Mukuro was in as well. But here's the big thing. Apparently, Kyoko was in so much of a hurry to steal the page on Mukuro and get out of Dodge that she didn't notice the profile was 2 pages. What secrets does the second page hold? It's some kind of special, quote, detailed report. The report honestly doesn't have anything that... It doesn't have anything that interesting, actually. The headmaster says that when Mukuro returned to Japan and started attending Hope's Peak, she seemed to be sort of, quote, shadowed by a mysterious entity, which was maybe a person or a group or a creature called the Ultimate Despair. Also, it contains Mukuro's vitals and data about her body, like height, weight, etc. And Byakuya suggests that it doesn't match up with the murdered and burnt body itself. We obtain the Mukuro's profile bullet. Surveillance room. So we go back to the room that was the surveillance room that was checking all of us, and we go through the Monokuma-shaped door. Whoa, it's super sci-fi. It looks like, I wrote here that it looks like the fucking cockpit of a damn Gundam, and then like 2 lines later someone says it looks like the cockpit of a mecha. So yeah, it really does. So there's a long scene here I'm going to skip past. There's a really silly scene where basically we eventually learn and confirm that, yep, this is in fact the room where we control Monokuma. The mastermind must have been chilling in here the entire game, basically. We get the Monokuma control room bullet. After we leave, the door locks behind us. Monokuma appears and says, this room is now relocked. I mean, if y'all could go into the control room anytime, how would I control Monokuma? We say, wait, we were just in there. And he's like, yep, I was hiding under a secret hatch that y'all were too dumb to bother checking. So he was like 2 feet away from us for that entire scene. And we could have just like fucking murked his ass. But now that we're gone, he locked the door and is like, I'm holed up here for the rest of the game, y'all. Sorry. Damn. We go to the 5th
One thing
floor.
that's cool that happens when Monokuma locks the door is normally the whole game you can bring up your map, and as you go over each of the rooms, it'll tell you who's inside the room. And Monokuma now gets one where it's like, oh no, Monokuma's inside this room. That's where he is.
Super cute. I really love that. We go to the garden to reinvestigate. Fuck, the body is gone. Oh wait, I'm going out of order. I'm sorry. We go to a room. Remember that room on the 5th floor that was locked at the end of a very long dramatic hallway? Turned out there's good reason for the dramatic buildup. It's the bio room, or the bio lab, or it's actually, we find out it's like refrigerated and very sparse and brutalist. It's a morgue. You know how in movies in the morgue they have those like drawer thingies where you just pull out the drawer and there's like a body there and then you put it back like you're just storing some fucking like vinyls or something. There's a bunch of those on the wall. There's 16 of them. 9 of them are lit up, 7 are dim. Yikes! Biolab secret and Biolab lights are now truth bullets. Oh, we also do find out that yes, when you put a body in the morgue slot, it lights up. That's not a mystery. It says that there's like a how-to manual on the table. We reinvestigate the garden. The body's gone. We realize it might be in the biolab. Also, we reinvestigate the tarp and discover a tag we hadn't paid attention to before. The tag says biolab. Another truth bullet. Dojo reinvestigation. Toko is here. She's upset because there aren't any more clues and everyone's going to say she's worthless. That's it. We leave. Now we go to the 2nd floor dorm. These stairs are weird looking. On the 2nd floor, it's a ruin. Walls crumbling and cracked. It's as if a bomb went off. Half the rooms are uninterable. We enter the one intact dorm room. It's just like everyone else's. Same layout of bed and bathroom, table and desk, all crumpled and broken. So then we go to the locker room. It's a room with lockers. Not like a locker room in the gym sense, just like in schools you have where the lockers are for you to put your books and shit. Makoto somehow, I guess because it's 2nd floor, maybe this is just how Japanese schools work, I don't know. Makoto intuits that these lockers are used by upperclassmen. So he's like, oh, these must have been the students in the class before us. We can't get into any of the lockers because they got handbook readers on them. And
the reason is in Japan, I only know this because of Persona 3 and 4 and 5. The freshmen are on the first floor. The juniors are on the second floor. The freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors, floors 1, 2, 3, 4. So them being on the second floor, he's like,
they didn't say anything, so I was just like, what? Okay. He was just so sure, Anyway, so we can't get into the because they have handbook readers on them, but already I'm like, oh god, are there going to be like 16 more important characters when we learn about the previous class? Are they about to pull a fucking Andrew Hussey on us? Don't worry, they don't. Then we go to the headmaster's private room. Turned out the headmaster had his own special fancy dorm room here for when he has to stay overnight. Kyoko is here. She says she's already investigated before, but she has a regret, so she came back. We checked the computer. The headmaster was trying to research the ultimate despair, but didn't come up with anything we didn't already know. She's like, lol, no wonder, I see you obviously abandoned your detective heritage, dumbass. Oh, snap. There is definitely a secret door up in here. There's an interesting scene that goes on for a while where it turns out all you gotta do to get in the room is put in the password on the computer, but Kyoko can't figure it out. We say, why not Kyoko as the password? Oh, why a password, you say? Why not Kyoko? The reason Kyoko never thought of trying this stupidly obvious password that you see in like every movie is because she fucking hates her dad, and her dad abandoned her as a kid, so it never occurred to her that the dad would actually care enough about her to use her name as a password. Makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
But still, it's a little silly. Like, come on, haven't you seen movies? So we
Evidently not.
So we go through the hidden door, and it's a back room, sparsely decorated. But on a table in the center is a present, like a straight-up gift-wrapped present box. Kyoto's transfixed. She has a hunch what's in there and tells Makoto to gather himself before looking inside. It's a dang skull and bones! Kyoko is like, yeah, I figured. She says it's probably the headmaster's remains. Kyoko's dad, the man she'd been searching for all along, is dead and gone and is in a box. Well, that's another truth bullet. On top of a cabinet, there's a photograph of him and her when she was a little girl. She doesn't get it. Why would he still bother caring? She feels like now he's stolen even her chance to cut him off and get closure. Another truth bullet. There's an e-handbook labeled in case of emergency. Kyoko says this is probably like a master handbook that can be used for anything. Oh, dip, we can go back to the locker room. Kyoko says leave her alone for a bit so she can deal with her emotions. Back to the locker room. Yes, the emergency handbook works. Inside of one of them is a bunch of mystical shit, including a crystal ball and tarot cards. And a notebook that has Yasuhiro Hagakure written on it. And it's filled with an entire year's worth of notes. So this game definitely does the thing where they wait a good 3 hours too long to reveal the twist that we've already figured out. Anyway, there's another locker. A pocketbook.
I will say
Kyoko's?
You say it waits 3 hours too long. I was shocked when I saw did this the first time. I did not see it before then.
Because I was also shocked.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm misremembering when I play the game. Maybe I like, sometimes you kind of guess a twist, but you don't necessarily guess it really, and then it comes and you're like, okay, I kind of knew that, but also, whoa, it actually wasn't exactly what I was thinking. Maybe I was as shocked as y'all were, and I just don't remember. Good, never mind it.
Yeah. As we spoke last week, at the end of last week's chapter, I was thinking we were all ghosties. So I definitely didn't see it coming.
Okay, good. So anyway, they're building up to a big twist here that I'm glad I didn't accidentally just spoil it just now, because you as a listener maybe haven't figured it out yet either. Although I keep saying how obvious it is. So anyway, we go to another locker and there's a pocketbook. It's Kyoko's, And she's writing about her dad, how they talked, and how her dad said his plan was to intentionally create an isolated commune for the best and brightest students to save the rest of the world from despair. And in the back, quote, "Despair walks among us, and so we survive. There is a second despair." Anyway, Monokuma calls us all to the gym and says he gonna give us a hint. We go to the gym, but in the entrance room we run into Hiro. God damn it. We run into Hiro. He says he already talked to Monokuma and is acting mysterious and runs off like he doesn't want to talk to us. We go in. It's the cutscene we always get every week where we get a motive, but this time it's not really a motive, but also it totally is. He says, take a look at the envelope in front of you for your final hint. Also, he says he won't say anything about what's in there. We find a single photograph. It's a group photo of everyone, including Mukuro. But wait, one person isn't in the pic. It's Makoto! My comment here is, bruh, you took the pic. Come on. Anyway, it's a truth bullet. Makoto doesn't think about that. He says, oh my god, if I'm the only one not in the photo, oh, of course I wouldn't be in the photo, because I never went to this school. But apparently everyone else did, and they're all... He resolves to talk to them all to sort it out. Maddy's note. Actually, I'll tell you Maddy's note later in my normal moments. Hina just run... so we go to talk to all of them. I don't end up talking to all of them because I accidentally went to the critical path first. So, whatever. I go to talk to Hina, and she just runs off. Everyone's very distrustful. You go to the biolab, and Toko's there, passed out. And one of the corpse boxes is open. Toko wakes up and is Genocide Jill now. The fact that they don't share memories becomes a truth bullet, which is a very good one. She runs off to find Byakuya. Okay, that was pointless. We forgot to ask her about the photo, lol. Oh shit. Kyoko says that if Mukuro's body is here, we can re-examine it. The mastermind probably put it here the same as the rest, not figuring we'd ever need it, or, be in the morgue to begin with. Motherfuck. Kyoko does as much investigation as possible and concludes that neither the stab nor the blow to the head were the cause of death. She suspects the actual cause of death was the other more numerous blows, which were, quote, at least several days old, last chapter. But she says the body's size and features are consistent with the file on Mukuro Yosaba. We also ask her about the notebook we found, and she freaks out. She says if her suspicions are right, the truth is more horrible than any of us could have imagined. She gives us a DVD and says, I found this a bit ago, please watch it when you have time. Then she asks if we have time to, quote, listen to her ramble. Her ramble is extremely short. She just says all the stuff with her dad is fucking her up, but she's more determined than ever to defeat the mastermind. I guess... she says there's only ever one truth, regardless of whether its discovery leads to justice or despair. Even if it's the worst truth in the world, you have to find out. So yeah, I guess for someone who never shares her emotions because she's always being mysterious, I guess that counts as like spilling on somebody. We go to when I do it takes hours, so can't relate.
Why is that not a surprise?
Yeah, so we go to the AV room to watch the DVD. It's labeled Class 78, Urgent Interviews. Sayaka appears on screen, and an unknown middle-aged man who seems to be conducting an interview with her. He starts off by saying, there's a chance that you may have to spend the rest of your life in this school. Can you accept that? Sayaka's not happy, but she says, yes, I accept. As expected, he says, yeah, I'm the headmaster, so I'll do everything I can to keep you safe. The video is not over. Next, Makoto appears on the screen. Oh my god, dude, I wrote here. Oh my god, dude, your memory was wiped. It's so obvious at this point, Jesus fucking Christ. Makoto cannot comprehend this concept. He's never seen movies. Also, we already know that Kyoko's memory was wiped, whatever. The video is the headmastering interviewing every one of them in the same way, asking if they're okay with living in the school. More and more of the interviews happen, and it's all wrapping up, but then the power to the room shuts off. Monokuma shows up and says, well, I guess the power shut off. Normal. Very normal. Oh, thank God. Makoto thinks about it for 5 seconds and realizes we probably did have our memories altered, finally. The DVD is the truth bullet. So that's it. That's what we got going forward. Time for the trial.
It turns out everyone did, in fact, go to the same orphanage. They just forgot.
Yeah, because of their GFs.
Yes.
I definitely suffer memory loss sometimes due to the actions of my GFs. Anyway, it's a reference to trauma. Anyway, so we're in the entry room first, and then Kyoko. Everyone else appears and everyone's quiet, tense, suspicious. They're all in a state of shock, having likely come to similar revelations as us. But Makoto is confident, fearless, filled with a determination we've never seen in him before that makes the concept of fear not gone, but rather irrelevant. We descend. In the courtroom, Monokuma says he's going to, quote, sit in on this one in the 16th seat. Which I realize is clever because he is actually the 16th student. So he's sitting where the students sit. There's no Monokuma. It's just students, which is cute. Anyway, the trial starts. Monokuma explains the special... So this final epic showdown, right? So Monokuma explains the special rules of this final trial. If we solve Mukuro's killer and the mysteries of the school, we win. End of story. If we don't, he wins. Loser gets executed. So, Hiro leads off. We say, wow, Hiro, what are you going to say? He says, is the mastermind only one person? That's very smart. Then he says, everyone but me is the mastermind. Okay, man.
Smart.
So, as with each week, we start with a really simple, stupid, easy mystery to ease us in. He says, I have evidence. Hina says, me too. Byakuya says, me 3. We counter and say, me 4. We show our group photo. As expected, everyone's photo is totally different, showing their group in the classroom or at the gym or outside, etc. But in all of them, a different person is missing. So yeah, Monokuma obviously must have just scrounged up photos where one person happened to be missing and gave that photo to that person to trick everyone. But wait, there's more. Makoto says something else that all these pictures show. Something strange. He notes it for later. Did either of y'all note this first time around? The thing that's funny about the pictures? You did.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I did as well, but I actually wrote it down as a memorable moment, which is why I know I noticed it because I didn't realize it was actually important. Yeah, Eli, what is it that we notice that's funny about these pictures?
Junko's face is hidden.
Too late. You already said it. I was going to say maybe you shouldn't to build tension, but it's okay. I told you to.
Well.
It's my fault. Yeah, Junko's face is hidden. Kind of like, it's like a Mike Wazowski sort of thing. Where there's just always something blocking her face. And Junko looks at it and says, oh my god, I'm in a photo! Anyway, Monokuma promises... Oh, also notably, Mukuro's also in all these. So Monokuma promises us all the pics are real. No one believes it because they don't remember taking the pics. Finally, the truths come out. Does Bruno Mars is gay? No. Makoto says, what if we all lost our memories? We tell everyone about the Deep Impact DVD. Everyone's like, motherfuck! They kind of don't believe it, but also they kind of have to? Byakuya says, okay, but let's discuss the content of the interview. When the headmaster asked us if we could live in the school forever and we all said yes, everyone's like, why would we do that? Monokuma helps cut to the chase. He says, yep, it's all true. That shit happened. You all lost your memory. We accuse him of intentionally taking our memories. And he says, yep, lol. We ask, why? Why would you remove our memories? He says, it has to do with the original motive. The motive for why I did this entire killing game. But I'm not going to tell you. Remember, you got a murder to solve here. Because of arguments, I won't go over it again because we fucking get it by now. But the murderer of Mukuro and the mastermind are the same person, and that person's a student in the school. Everyone starts bickering, but Kyoko calms us down. What was the cause of death? We say it was a days-old wound, which means she'd been dead for days by the time I found the body. Byakuya says, who attacked you at night? We say that was the mastermind, but the masked Mukuro who appeared later was not the same person. Duh, that's why you wear a mask to disguise what's going on. Now we know Mukuro was killed after the killing game began. Unbeknownst to everybody. She must have been killed at some fucking point, stored in the biolab, and then moved to the garden at an opportune moment. The mastermind just took an already dead body that had been hanging around for who knows how long and stuck it in there as part of the frame-up. as we start explaining this, Monokuma gets very, very, very worked up and defensive. Oh man, we're really getting to it here. Kyoko says, this is because we're talking about the biolab, isn't it? The biolab has the secret to your identity. Okay, did y'all... How able were y'all to figure this part out? The part with the bodies.
I remember not figuring it out until like the puzzle to figure out the truth bullet to use to reveal it. Like they're like right towards the end. Like
this is like one twist that I very notably did figure out, and I felt really smart because like I didn't figure anything else out, but I figured out this one, and I felt really smart. What about you, Eli?
I don't remember. I definitely knew there was something really weird going on with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember how long it took me.
What's interesting is it's different than this game's usual twists. Usually this game, I think, very obviously draws attention to clues, but you don't understand what they mean. This is the opposite. This is like, the clue is very obvious. Like, what I mean is, it's very easy to understand the clue, but the game doesn't draw attention to it, so you probably just don't even notice. It's the opposite. So the clue is the lights. I mentioned earlier that there are 9 lights that are on and 7 that are off. Anyway, Monokuma freaks the fuck out. But the thing is, it is never commented on until this point. So like, it's just the graphics. If you look at the graphics, you notice the number of lights, and that's it. Whereas, yeah, usually this game is like, we're gonna draw attention to a clue, but not explain it.
Thankfully, so anyway, just as like a game design thing, in the truth bullet list, if you expand that one, it does say it there. So if you are hella dumb and you don't know a damn thing and you're up there with the timer running and you have no idea what to do, you can press square. And if you read through all your truth bullets, one of them will be like, oh, they're bullets. They're one of them will be
of broken dreams.
Yes. That one will be like there are 9 lights on.
Yeah.
But wait, aren't there 10 bodies or whatever? Yeah. Like the hint is findable, but it's not nearly like, that's so weird. Why is there blood on the poster of the big titty girl and the girl's one?
I will say I did have to do the look at description of truth bullet thing a bunch this week. Not for this part, but for other parts. And that's me having beaten this game already. Anyway, Monokuma starts taunting Makoto. He does not want us thinking about this. He says, Makoto, hey, remember your family? Are you sure your family's okay? We're like, fuck off, you're not getting under my skin. The biolab lights do not add up. Yeah, I dropped this earlier. I even made a joke about it. 9 lights were on, 7 were off. 9 dead, 7 alive. We remember everyone who has died. 10. 6 victims, 3 murderers, and 1 Junko Inoshima, who is neither a victim of a murder nor a murderer, but was murdered by the mastermind themselves. The explanation? The Mukuro murder was of a body that was already dead. Kyoko says before she was killed as Mukuro Ikusaba, she was killed as someone else. And the identity of the double victim is obvious simply by looking at the wounds. Junko was impaled by a shit ton of spears. No one else died in a remotely similar fashion. In fact, I believe we've commented on this pod that most of the murders in this game are actually surprisingly straightforward. It's usually just someone got stabbed, someone got hit in the head. Nobody else got dramatically stabbed by a shit ton of spears. And so Mukuro and Junko were the same person, kind of? But more important, the number of dead is the number of alive. Only 9 died, therefore 7 remain, not 6. The mastermind is the 7th. So the person who is the killer all along is not one of the 6 of us. It's the 7th one of us, because turns out there were 7 of us and not 6. Toko says, we found the body we found in the garden wasn't Mukuro. But we say, no, it was. The measurements of the corpse in the morgue, in addition to the finger tattoo, match the profile. But if the person isn't Mukuro, someone must have made it look like they died, but actually they're still alive. So we get the wonderful moment we get every week again, in which we're faced with all 16 students and must choose. We've worked it out. We just said that Junko was the one that died twice, because Junko definitely died. Yeah. But we also just said that Junko was actually Mukuro, so who's alive? So we point our goddamn video game cursor at Junko Inoshima, and we tap on her, and we say it's gotta be fucking Junko. So Junko definitely died, but Mukuro also definitely died. Kyoko says look at it the other way around. If Junko survived, how'd she do it? A body double. Junko was pretending to be Mukuro, and vice versa. But how? When? From the moment we first met. From the very start, the Junko all along, aka in 1.5 chapters, was in fact Mukuro, and that's who died. So finally they bring up the goddamn fake nails that have been bugging me for a week and a half now. Like, nobody commented. I really like how many very, very obvious clues they left in chapter 6 that just don't go commented on, and you're just thinking, like, why is no one talking about this without realizing it's actually foreshadowing? Junko was the ultimate fashionista.
The fake nails are... Mm-hmm. The fake nails are even better because they bring it up when you're like, it can't be Kyoko because of the fake nails, and they don't then say who then has the fake nails.
Yeah,
why would the ultimate assassin
Mukuro wear fake nails? Yeah, that's stupid. Yeah. So Junko. But the thing is, the way that was written, I kind of just thought it was like I love when a twist is like you actually thought that the writers like made a mistake. Like, I thought that was an oversight on the part of the writers, like being stupid, but no. They weren't being stupid. Just one thing I know about the writers of these games, they are not stupid. Junko was the ultimate fashionista. She had over-the-top fake nails. Also, she easily could have covered up her finger tattoo with foundation. None of them had met each other or knew who Junko was. So right off the bat, Junko could have just, like, Mukuro disguised as Junko, could have just said, I'm Junko, right at the beginning. We'd believe it. It wouldn't even be that hard of a disguise, really. They were working together, Junko and Mukuro. They were both the ultimate despair. We say Monokuma tried to hide Junko's identity. Wait, did I not? Hold on, sorry. Did I not read this part? I thought I was gonna... Okay, I'm gonna put this here. I thought I was gonna get to it, but I didn't, so I'm gonna drop this in. Another callback. Remember in chapter 1 when we were all talking about as the pod, the part where you're like, you meet Junko and you're like, man, you don't look anything like the magazines. And she's like, oh, you know those magazines, they're photoshopped to shit. Here's the thing. That seems reasonable. Magazines are photoshopped to shit. If you met if you met a model in real life, you'd be like, yeah, you look different than your pictures. But actually, she looks different than her pictures because it wasn't her. Which rules.
Yeah, I thought that was really clever.
It was really clever. It's like disguising foreshadowing as a completely normal interaction. Like, it's really good. What were you saying?
Yeah. It also uses the fact that this is anime to its credit, because every anime girl looks exactly the same anyways. And so if this was like a movie with real life actors, you would be like, oh, that's not even the same person on the cover, because this is the real life and people have various like nuances of difference, but not an anime. Anime is big eyes, small nose, big mouth. That's it. And so
so anyway, Monokuma says you have no proof. We say Monokuma, why do you try to hide Junko's identity? He says bullshit. When did I do that? So then we bring up as evidence the fact that he tried to hide Junko's identity twice. In the recent investigation, when we were watching the interviews in the AV room, Monokuma shut off the DVD before it got to Junko's interview. And finally, as Eli picked up, the group photos. In every group photo, Junko's face was kind of hilariously covered. The fact that Monokuma has twice in just today made sure that we couldn't see what Junko looks like was to hide the truth of the switch. They switched using costumes and makeup, but instead of doing like just like being like, oh, Junko's so good at makeup that she can make someone look just like her. It's like, no, their faces probably did look different, but That's why they had to make sure we just didn't know what Junko actually looked like. They switched using costumes and makeup. Mukuro died, and Junko's still alive. And is the mastermind, and is the ultimate despair all along. That's why you should never Google anything about this game before playing it, because Junko is a very, 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 very popular character. So the fact that she is popular at all kind of spoils that she doesn't die 30 minutes into the game. So, time for the closing argument. So
I wanted to say real quick about Junko being popular. So after I played this week, I was just watching random videos on YouTube, and one of them came up. Of all things, the history of the yaoi paddle. This
all right.
Well, it's a video that was made by this YouTuber called Red Bard, and she's great. I really like her. She does a lot of anime and manga stuff. But through the video, she's like showing different pictures and videos from anime conventions, and one of the videos, it pops up real quick, like 2 or 3 seconds, is someone doing a Junko cosplay.
Yeah.
And I saw it, and it was like with the Monokuma hairbands.
Yep.
And if I had seen that before I finished the game, I would have been real confused.
Yeah, it's like, why do fans flip out over this character? I guess she has a great design, but I mean, she has like 5 lines. Why do people like her so much? Yeah. It's very strange. Anyway, so we all met the ultimate fashionista, Junko Enoshima, on the first day. That was actually the 16th student, Mukuro Ikusaba, who had taken her place from the start. Shortly after, she died at the hands of Monokuma, aka the Mastermind, aka Junko Enoshima. Her body was kept in the morgue the entire time, until Junko eventually decided to make use of the body. Dragged it out of the biolab, still looking like a Junko. Meanwhile, to trick everyone into thinking Mukuro was still alive, the Mastermind masked up and attacked Makoto, making sure he got a good look at the mask. Then he put the same get-up on the corpse so we conflate the two. Then, when we found the body, a bomb blew it up so no one could figure out the ruse. The one who did this all along was Junko Enoshima. Well, Monokuma, what do you have to say about that? He's silent as we prod him. Eventually he says, "Did you really think the story would end once we reach the climax of the case?" And then Junko appears. She's insane. She's hot. She has a weird fake British accent. Her outfit is extremely stylish, and she's also Monokuma-themed. She's also wearing a crown. She says she's drawn up the plan for us to share half the world with her, if we serve under her. I'm pretty sure this is a but thou mustn't, though I didn't check. Also, it might be a Dragon Quest reference. Anyway, we say no. The fake British accent drops to a cold deadpan. She's got depression. She says Monokuma sucked. Everyone is struck by her face. They'd seen her on a magazine cover. She's beyond beautiful. This is where I say it. Holy moly, the super tossed off convo at the beginning was a ruse. Remember when we said she didn't like her photos? Holy shit, ha. Now we get to what I feel like is an extremely fucking stupid twist, but I don't care. Junko and Mukuro were twin sisters. Okay.
All right. I missed that, but that's whatever.
Yeah, she says that they're twin sisters, and then, like, she's like, and before you ask, I'm not going to answer why our last names are different, because I'm so tired of answering that question.
Okay, so that was one of my memorable moments, but since you just said it, I'm going to say it again. I have it. No, it's great. Yeah, so she's like, I think someone actually says, "Why do you have the same last name?" And she's like, "Yes." Like you said, she says, "I'm tired of answering that." But then she says, "Make up your own reason. The truth is boring as shit anyway," which I think is kind of like I think that's kind of like a statement of purpose for the entire game. Like, so much of this game is like, who cares? We're not going to explain it. It doesn't matter. The truth is boring as shit. Just fucking make up your own reason. We don't care. Which I really, really like philosophically. Anyway, as someone who is sort of, generally opposed to just lore as a a concept, not as a concept, but like as a thing that people get too hard on sometimes. So anyway, she like transforms. Okay, she exists in like 7 different forms. It's almost like her fighting Smithy from the final battle of Mario RPG. She's just like, sometimes she's a British monarch, sometimes she's super depressed. In this case, she's about to be hollering and cursing like a punk rocker. Then she transforms into a hot librarian look. It's really hot. She explains that they had a plan. She, Junko, would stay in the control room and handle Monokuma, and then she would be a student. But for reasons I won't go into, she decided to disguise Mukuro as Junko, mostly because having the Ultimate Soldier as one of the students would be weird. Here's the thing. I could explain all Junko's motivations at this point, but they don't make sense, logically, at all. Junko clearly hates her sister with a passion, and is batshit insane, so most of her reasons are more because of that than, like, logical planning. Like, she didn't kill her sister or even do the swap because of some master plan. She mostly did it because she thought that her sister sucked and was going to do a bad job. So... Anyway, if you're wondering why did she do all this, it was mostly because of her own weird issues and not because of some kind of plan. Now she transforms into a super cute persona. The point is, Mukuro's death was not part of the plan. Junko just betrayed her. Sorry, I just kind of repeated myself there. We questioned how she could betray her sister. She says the two of them were born filled with total despair and had never had any light. That's why they feel nothing when they kill or betray or die. It reminds me of Raskolnikov from Crime and Punishment. She sees her utter despair as freeing her from conventional morality. The conversation turns. She says, here you are all yapping away, and you haven't even solved all the mysteries. Like, what's up with your memories, huh? She says, I already gave you all the clues. You could have saved her, Mr. Detective. We put it together. The motive she gave us... Well, actually, we don't put this together. She kind of guides us through this because she's being like an evil villainy kind of sort. Each motive she gave us, each of the first 4 cases, had a theme. The first theme was relationships. The second theme was the past. The third was greed. The fourth was betrayal. So those are all the motives, but those are all really petty and human. She says there are as many reasons to kill as there are people on Earth. She says the seed of despair of all of these reasons is hope. If people don't hope for anything, hoping to have good relationships, hoping to get something that they want, hoping to, that kind of stuff. If people don't hope for anything, then they don't do shit like kill each other. So she says that's why she took away our memories, to give us hope. What? How could removing someone's memories give them hope? Oh no. Our hope is our desire to escape. If none of us wanted to escape, we wouldn't have had hope. And the seeds of despair wouldn't have grown into murder. That means if we had our memories, we wouldn't have even wanted to leave. This is what Junko has been intentionally leading us into. The horrible realization of what we've been ignoring all the time. She says, time to see the outside world. All the screens turn on, and we see a world undone. Giant Monokuma robots destroying cities. The Eiffel Tower, Statue of Liberty, and Sphinx with Monokuma heads. Violent mobs in Monokuma masks. Hey, at least you're social distancing. She says you should all know what this is. It's hidden in your memories. But nobody can remember anything. One person might remember something. Genocide Jack. They don't share memories. Togo's memories were wiped.
Yeah, that's true.
What if Genocide Jack's wasn't? So she arrives. It's kind of hilarious. It's just like, oh yeah, we forgot that this person has 2 different brains. We forgot to wipe both of them. Byakuya says, do you know anything about what we're seeing? She's like, lol, yep. That's the tragedy, duh. No one asked me, so I never bothered to explain. She says she can't really say if it happened or if it's still happening. It's the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. Her explanation, I was abridging it, but if I'd realized it was so short, I would have just read it word for word. But I didn't get it. She's basically like, we're like, what was the tragedy? And she's like, well, it started a year ago. It was man-made, I guess, technically, but it was really more like a worldwide natural disaster. It spread all over the world, and the world turned out the way it did. The end. We tell her that was a terrible explanation. She says, well, she was asleep for most of it on account of being Toko instead. Heck. Junko says, y'all, the point is the world fucking ended, okay? Who cares what it was? In order to taunt Byakuya, Junko baits him with the story of the Togami clan. She says every single Togami, even distant relatives, has been wiped out. He's no longer the ultimate child prodigy. His entitled position is gone. Through some more loopy nonsense, we arrive at the exact nature of the truth. They came to Hope's Peak. Here's the big nature of the twist. It's not just that their memory was altered. It's not just that some dumb shenanigans happened. They came to Hope's Peak 2 years ago. They had 2 entire years worth of life at Hope's Peak, full of school life and friendship and all that shit. And that's what has been wiped. And halfway through that was the tragedy. We show Hiro his notebook and materials from his locker. They forgot not only their youth, the year of happiness and growth and innocence, but they also forgot what happened after. Junko then says that she's fallen in love with all of us, which is interesting. Okay. Now it's time for us to tell us the ultimate plan. So, we are so close to being done, folks. Keep hanging on. 2 years ago, everyone came to the school. And for 1 year, life overflowed. Oh, so just to be clear. So at the beginning of the game, we went to the school and we were like, hey, we should go hang out, go explore. And then we got woozy and then waked up in a classroom. That was when it happened. The 2 years passed at that point. We thought it had been like 5 seconds. Yeah. So anyway, everyone comes to the school. And for 1 year, life overflowed with hope and happiness. They had the time of their lives. Then the tragedy happened, and it spread throughout the world, and even made its way to Hope's Peak, claiming the lives of many students. She says despair is contagious, almost like a natural phenomenon. The members of the member, apostrophe S, of the 78th class were the only ones left at Hope's Peak. In order to protect them, the class, with the collaboration of the headmaster, turned the school into a shelter. If the collective hope of a new generation could survive, maybe the world could have a fresh start. They all trapped themselves in here on purpose, blocking the doors and windows on purpose under the headmaster's direction. They're basically trying to do dual power, basically, which, worked so well the other time for Kropotkin or whatever. Anyway, but the headmaster had no idea that the ultimate despair, Junko and Mukuro, had already made their way into the school. Because of this, their shelter became a cage. It turned out this was their plan all along. They finagled it on purpose so that the entire 78th class survived, and they even pushed the idea of the shelter, all to set the stage for their killing game. There are still people out there in the world who refuse to give up hope, which is why they set up this broadcast to make a point and extinguish hope forever. Oh, those war zone sounds we occasionally heard outside? Those were groups of hopeful warriors trying to rescue us, and she just gunned them all down with her hells of military weaponry. She said she didn't exactly plan on us surviving and making it to this final trial, but she also didn't exactly not plan on it. She's like, I was trying to beat you, but the fact that you've gotten this far is also fine, because I figure if you're bold enough to solve the mystery, only to discover that the truth was utterly hopeless, how would you react to that? At this point, you start hearing the word despair and the word hope a whole lot. Imagine like the last 2 hours of a Kingdom Hearts game, except replace the word light with hope and the word darkness with despair, and that's about what you're getting yourself into. 100%. She monologues about the despair and the awfulness and about the hopelessness, but then Makoto breaks in. He says, wait, how do we know anything you're saying is true? You could just be making shit up. Sorry, I accidentally scrolled down too much. Where? I just scrolled down a whole lot, sorry. He says, you could just be making shit up. She basically says, shit, maybe. Well, time to vote. So she explains, we're going to be having a vote. This vote is different. We're voting to punish her or ourselves. If we all vote to punish Junko unanimously, then she will die and let us all go free. Into, as she puts it, a world fallen from grace where only despair exists. A world fallen Rum Grace, where only despair exists, where you'd likely be dead within a day. Or, another option, if even one of us decides not to punish her, then she'll punish us, but not with death, with the rest of our lives lived here, in Hoped Peak, free from death and violence. What's it gonna be? Actually, she changes her mind right off the bat. She says, fuck it, I'll kill one of you, Makoto. So if we vote to stay here, she also kills Makoto. She says, do you really trust your friends? Surely one of them will realize there's no hope, that the only thing to do is just to give up and accept their fate. So here's the thing. We're not really arguing kill Makoto versus don't kill Makoto. Like, Makoto trusts his friends and they love him. Like, that's not the issue. The issue is, do you have any hope for life? If you have hope for life...
I sometimes wonder why...
Huh?
I sometimes wonder why Makoto trusts people like Byakuya and Toko and Hiro. Hina I can understand. But the other three...
For the first half of the game, I think his trust in his friends is not particularly well-founded. By the end, I get it. By the end, it's like, I get it. You've been through a lot of shit together. You believe in them. But at the beginning, I'm like, why are you trusting them again, actually?
Yeah.
She is literally a serial killer.
I mean, maybe it's partially like he's retaining some degree of his memories.
Maybe. Yeah. Or he's just retaining his... I mean, okay, honestly, I relate a lot to Makoto. I am also very quick to trust people. And probably too much.
I am too. I'm gullible as fuck, and anyone who is nice to me is like, oh, you're a good person, I'm gonna trust you forever. And everything you say is the truth. And then and then it bites me in the ass a lot.
Yeah, it happened to me a couple times. So anyway, the issue at stake here is not how much does Makoto trust his friends to not kill him, but rather it's do his friends want to exit the school where it could be an awful, hopeless existence, or do they want to essentially give up and say, never mind, we'll stay here forever. It's not ideal, but better than going out there, right? So Junko taunts everyone who is in complete despair. Here, Makoto becomes the big damn anime hero. You literally have a bullet. Actually, you use the sucking the word out, but power doesn't matter. You literally only have the word, like, hope, and every single other character is like, oh no, oh no, oh no, ... Yeah, like Monokuma or Junko says something terrible about the world, like how everyone's killing each other and how the governments have all collapsed and how blah blah blah, and everyone else is just saying like ... because they're so beaten down, and you literally shoot the word hope at all of them, and you basically just beat them over the head with hope until they have hope.
Shoot them with hope. You have to watch this sequence like 6 different times.
Yeah, because every time you watch it, the ... turn into them saying that they have hope now. So we have a big ol' hoedown. Hope and despair and all of that. I thought of saying that, but I wasn't sure if it would read, so thank you. We have a big ol' hope down. And then we have a fight with Junko where Junko is saying shit and we're like, no, hope. And she's like, no, despair. And we're like, no, hope. Because this is anime. And finally we kick her ass with hope. And then everybody votes, and she loses. Hope wins. Obama's elected in 2008, and nothing bad ever happened after that because he fixed all the problems. Anyway, she's pissed off and shocked. But then she starts getting horny now because everyone gets horny in this game. No, she realizes that experiencing the mostest despair from losing, and also that's why. So that makes her horny because she's experiencing the most despair, and she has a fetish for despair, to quote Kyoko. And also, it doesn't matter anyway because the outside world is totally hopeless, and we're all going to be miserable anyway. So what does it even matter? We say no. No matter what's out there, we are entering the world with hope in our hearts. We wonder if we have to really kill Junko. I mean, haven't we had enough of killing? But luckily, she prevents us from having to make a difficult ethical decision because she pushes the button and offs herself. She receives the ultimate punishment. She gets all the punishments we've seen so far, which means she ends up getting smashed by a giant smasher. Gruesome. She leaves behind the emergency exit button. Chapter 6 is now over. Epilogue time. Just as Junko said, the air purifier... Oh, I actually skipped this plot point, but as soon as we killed Junko, the air purifier shut off. So we have to leave. We can't change our mind and be like, never mind, we're actually not going to leave. Oh yeah, because the air outside is all polluted and terrible. Unlike real life. Anyway, the group stands in front of the huge vault door. Oh, at this point, Toko comes back from being Genocide Jill, and we have to fill her in on what happened. We wonder what's outside. Was Junko lying? Maybe outside is normal and peaceful. Maybe the world has ended. We think, even if everything is fine, there's still despair out there, even in the normal world. We think Monokuma said there are still people out there who refuse to give in, who maintain hope. We can find them, and we have each other. Kyoko says the act of searching for hope, to try and find it, that by itself is the true meaning of hope. We all give ending anime monologues. Makoto says hope really is spreading, which gives them, and the world, the power to move forward. He pushes the button. The door opens. That's a wrap, folks.
Credits.
Yep.
That's Danganronpa. And the door opens in such a way that we don't know what's out there. We never find out unless you play the sequels. Actually, I won't even spoil that, actually, because as Sam knows, the sequels don't really answer that question either. We never find out if Monokuma was lying, if it was all just a ruse, if the world outside is beautiful and fine, if the world out there is a desolate wasteland of death, if it's a fucking fallout out there. As they open the door, it is fiery and orange, but it doesn't really look like anything. I see that as more just graphics. I see that as more just a visual
an aesthetic flourish.
Yeah, I see that as an aesthetic, stylistic flourish. I don't see that as showing us anything. So we don't see what happens when they step through the door. We just see that whatever's out there, they're going to see it with hope in their hearts. So that's it.
So question before we move on to the next thing. I, having played this game before, skipped the credits this morning. And when I did so, it did not play the scene at the end. Eli, you watched the credits. Did you see the scene at the end of the credits?
Oh fuck. It was Monokuma that was.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
He gets back up and says, "You really thought this was over, didn't you?" Question mark. Question mark. The end. Question mark. Question mark. Question mark.
Well, also even more, he says, "You thought this was over, didn't you?" And then he says something dark side, something complete. And then he says, "I'm the headmaster all along." Here's the thing. I'm just gonna go ahead and spoil this for you. I don't know what he means by that, and I don't actually think the series follows up on it, and I think that that's bullshit.
All I know is that
I've played the next two games, and I don't think they ever addressed that. So if you think that's stupid, you can just ignore it.
But what it does is it made me incredibly thirsty to play Danganronpa 2 to figure out what was going to happen next. And you start Danganronpa 2 and you are 16 kids on a desert island with a pink little bunny best friend. And that's as much as I'm going to say about Danganronpa 2, but it does not answer a goddamn question for about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, this game, the series does an amazing job of every game ends and you're like, well, they couldn't possibly make a sequel to that, could they? And they're like, we're making a sequel because we love money. And then they manage to somehow sidestep the problem of how do we make a sequel to this. It's great. But yeah, so I forgot there is that ending scene. Thank you for remembering it of me.
Yes, remembering it of you.
My words. The more I spend time okay, so y'all need to understand how much time I spend talking every day now, as if I haven't already been enough of a jabberbox my entire life. Here's my life now, okay? First, I have one job, which is tutoring people. And because I'm tutoring people online now, it's just all talking. It's a lot more talking than when you tutor face-to-face, frankly. It's a lot more verbal and a lot less visual, right? My other job is calling people, which is literally just talking and reciting a stump speech, basically. The other thing I do is this podcast, which especially right now is a lot of me talking because I'm leading this season. And now I stream in the evenings, which is just me talking for 2 to 4 hours. And also, all my friendships now are just talking because of COVID. Because when you're hanging out with your friends in real life, you can just hang out and be together and be in the same room as each other and not say anything and just like chill or play video games. But when you're doing a video call with someone, you're talking. So anyway, I'm going to start doing some voice training. I figure if I spend this much time talking, I might as well get better at it. So anyway, share your memorable moments / thoughts / whatever. Anyway, what's the memorable moment and or comments?
So I didn't have any this week because there was no free time this week. So I didn't stop and read anything. But Junko's personality, the real Junko, is like listening to a podcast interview with Tara Strong, where she like, I don't know if you ever have listened to it, but she will be Bubbles for 2 seconds, then Twilight Sparkle for 2 seconds, and then somebody completely new for 2 seconds. And it's like sentence by sentence, she just slips into a different voice. And it's adorable and awesome and not creepy when Tara Strong does it. It's super creepy when Junko does it. Junko seems unhinged. And to be fair, Tara, I love you, but you also seem a little bit unhinged, but like in an endearing
in a good way. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I listened to her Fat Man on Batman episode from back in the day, and I'm like, she seems a little bit crazy, but also I love her, so it's fine.
I think that's probably just a voice actor thing. Like, I love stuff like that where you just get to hear them shift between their different voices, and like, there's a thing that I found with a bunch of different voice actors who were at a convention panel and were reading a Star Wars script, but doing it as different characters. So like, yeah, they had Billy West and John DiMaggio, and Tara Strong was one of them. And they would say like, all right, do this next line as Bender. And so John DiMaggio would read off. It's super fucking cool.
Yeah, it's great. Darth Bubbles should have been canon.
Yes. It was great. So I didn't have too many memorable moments. I do agree that Junko is fucking unhinged, and it was hilarious because I was like she came up and started just acting nuts, and I was like, wow, she makes Genocide Jack look sane. And then Hiro says, like, Genocide Chill is crazy for sure, but this is a whole nother level of nuts. I'm like, you're speaking the real ass truth there, Hiro.
Also funny that Hiro's saying that of all people.
I know.
Hiro's like, look, I'm crazy, but this bitch is crazy.
Yeah. He's got his moments where he's not a total dumbass. But yeah, well, I'll get to that in a second because I just found another screenshot. I love the part where Junko asks, "Hey, so what do you think happened to the Togami family?" And the answers are all the Togami family fell, the Togami family fell, and the Togami family fell. You basically have no choice because all the choices are the same. And I love when video games do that I just think it's really funny. Like I showed the screenshot from Undertale when you're doing the quiz show with Metaton for the first time, and the question is, would you smooch a ghost? And the answers are all heck yeah 4 times, and the timer is rolling up. So you have an infinite amount of time to answer that question. And all of the answers are right, and it's great. But I'm having a little difficulty understanding why Junko is a fan favorite. Because I think she's a horrible, horrible person, and I don't find her craziness endearing. I find it disturbing.
I think it might just be her design and that she's fun to cosplay, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Especially because she has so many different versions of herself.
When she's for her like super despair version, where she's all sad and crying, she's got mushrooms growing out of her hair.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I like that one. When I saw that, I was like, wait, were those always there? I just didn't notice.
Yeah. The designs are all great. Like, I love her little crown when she's in her British royalty costume. Her pigtails get softer, like they're not as wavy, and they're just smoother when she's in her cute persona. When she's in her librarian persona, she's only got one. She's just got a single ponytail. So she's costume changing like crazy.
Maybe she's the ultimate cosplayer instead.
Yeah, I do like when she holds the Monokuma up over her face and talks like she's Monokuma.
Yes, that's a fun one. That one takes a while to show up, actually. Like, it shows up later. She's like, oh, I'm Monokuma.
Yeah, she does the boo 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 boo. Yeah, I mean, she's fun in that regard, but she's so disturbing.
Yeah. No, she's really
great.
Fucked up.
Yeah, I love villains that like I love their villainy a lot.
Oh, I also
even though
did
like I hate them as a person.
On the fact that Monokuma's sex obsession both makes sense and also becomes creepier when you find out that it's a teenage girl behind it. And I mean, I guess technically she's like an older teen because they've aged up 2 years from where they thought they were, but I don't know, it struck me odd.
Wait, wouldn't they have just like skipped puberty if they went in as like freshmen and then became like the end of their sophomore year?
I mean, you normally start puberty around 12 or 13, so they would have been like
partway through puberty, yes, when they first started. Yeah. But by the time they're at the end, they're like done. I
don't have acne anymur.
I'm just realizing that the time skip's a little funny when you consider that, especially like, I don't know, like poor Chihiro, right?
Oh yeah,
right. Like, she'd be like, wow, my amount of body dysphoria just quadrupled in about 10 in between before I took the snap and after I woke up from the snap. That's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't seem to question that a whole lot.
Yeah, I just now thought of that. But yeah, no, oh my god, no, her sex obsession, like I can totally get it. Like I've known people like that, like when I was a teen, other teens who were like always really uncomfortably sexual, and they were explicitly doing it because they knew it made the other kids uncomfortable because they weren't like that.
Do you guys remember when Sayaka died, if there was a mirror in the bathroom?
I don't remember that.
So why?
Because like I think especially when I was young and still in my growth years before I was turned 25 or whatever, I think I would look at myself in the mirror and be like, I'm 2 years older. Like, even if they had taken my memories. But if everyone thinks they're meeting for the first time, and there are no mirrors, it makes sense. But I looked up a picture of Sayaka's like the CG of her like death scene or whatever, and it doesn't show a mirror, but she's down below where the mirror would be. So
it's
hard to tell.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, though, is they just didn't think about that or figured it's not important enough to bother explaining because narratives are fake.
Yes.
But it is still certainly fun to think about, though. It's like that movie Big with, what's his butt? That actor that everybody likes.
Tom Hanks?
Tom Hanks, yeah, that's the one. I was like, Tom Cruise? No, that's different. Much different.
Very different.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I want to bring up. This chapter has I have two memorable moments and then a comment. So one thing that's funny is I know already knowing the twist about Junko, which I think is a magnificent twist. I think that the character that died early on was all a long con. I'd love that. When she died this time around, like when Junko dies in chapter 1 in my second playthrough of the game, I was like vibrating. I was like, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, here we go. They're setting this up. Anyway, here's something funny. This chapter, the first like 20 minutes of the chapter, like when you're just, like Makoto, the narrator, is recapping things for us. You're talking with Monokuma at the beginning, is like constantly reminding us about Junko dying. Like at the beginning, Kyoko is like, let's go over our entire experience here in the class. First, Sayaka died and was killed by Leon, and was killed by Leon, who was blah blah blah. Then Junko broke the rules and was punished. And I'm like, we already know all this. I'm realizing though. They never just remind us about Junko, but like at like 3 different parts throughout the chapter, they like again review everyone that's died, and I'm like, oh, they're just doing this so that we remember about Junko. That way, when it happens later, we're not confused. I love that. They're just like, hey, remember everything that's happened in the game so far? Remember, don't forget it. All this stuff, don't forget it. And I'm like, okay, fine, yeah, because if they got to the Junko twist and players were like, who was that again? It wouldn't work. I just find that cute. When we first meet everyone in the group back in the dining hall, Hiro says, "I'm just asking to make sure, but you're not a ghost, right?" to you, obviously.
I forgot about that part.
Yeah, he wants to make sure we're not a ghost, which is fun. And anyway, the commentary I have is that this chapter is structurally interesting. It's got a very, very brief little prologue, and then the entire chapter is an investigation. But I think that really it has all the elements of a typical chapter tied in with the investigation that's not really an investigation at all. For example, the investigation also includes the part where you explore new areas. That's how every chapter begins, is explore the new areas. We do that. Also, what does every chapter have? Every chapter has a part where you go on dates and have one-on-one conversations with people. Well, the part where you get the hint about the photograph and then you're like, I gotta go talk to everyone about these photographs, is like your final free time dating scene. I didn't do them because I accidentally activated the critical path, but it's almost like a victory lap kind of thing. It's like, and now this is the final time you're going to go hang out with people, right? And then you have the investigation itself. Basically, it took all the same elements that you always get in each chapter, but shuffled them all up or blended them all up in a blender, which I'm a sucker for weird structural shenanigans, so I found that also very cute.
Similarly, the closing argument climax happening at the midway point of the final trial is another playing with the structure thing, which is really cool.
And one more this is the one that I skipped when I wrote it down earlier in my own notes. The scene when Monokuma says, "Come to the gym. I'm going to give you your hint for the investigation." That's him giving us the motive, which again happens every chapter, just usually it happens earlier, and it even shows that little CG cutscene where he appears in the gym like he does every single time. So like every single element we normally get is still there, which that doesn't mean anything. That's just like literally just like the writers are showing off because they're jackasses. But that's funny. I like technical wankery like that in my narratives, so it's cool. I mean, that's why I like Homestuck. And other than that, I will just say that, you know, the hope and despair stuff, I joked about it being Kingdom Hearts-esque, but, like, I think it hits. I think it hits right now a lot. The whole thing where they're stuck inside and they feel like the world might have ended outside of them, that became relevant in a different kind of way as the way that it used to be. Except this time the masked in the real world, the masked mobs that are burning things are the good guys in the real world and not the bad guys. I just want to make sure we're clear on that one. No, sorry, the masked people in masks that are burning things are the good guys, but not the masked people who are burning things that are also wearing cop badges.
Yes, and not the ones that aren't wearing cop badges, just a piece of tape that says police and are putting people in Portland in unmarked vans and driving off, and no one's seeing from them again.
Either. The point is, not everyone who wears a mask and sets things on fire is bad. Sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad. If you follow this podcast, we don't need to tell you which ones are good and bad. You fucking know. But anyway, that's one difference between DanganRonpa in real life. But no, just the whole message of having hope even when things seem terrible, and how Makoto says at many points, like, the only thing that I have is the will to keep going. And that's what keeps
I gotta do
me
something.
Going I relate very hard to it. Ironically, even though this game I did play in like 2014, so I did play it a long time ago, I actually feel like it wasn't that formative for me. I feel like other media were very formative for me, and this one wasn't, but like this one could have done the job as well. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, if I had played this a few years earlier, it would have made me into the person I am today, just like the other media that I experienced, maybe the person I am today, or maybe it's just in my genes. But yeah, I resonate really, really hard with Makoto's sometimes too much level of willingness to hope for the best in all things, but more his resilience to keep going, and the fact that he is able to infect everyone else with it. I think owns. I think it's gorgeous. Anyway, that's it for me.
I have one final one, and it's the second quest for DanganRonpa Trigger Happy Havoc. Maddy, did you fuck with it at all this time around?
0% at all. And I still, for some reason, after the story itself ends, it's like my brain is like, why would I bother? The story's over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's awesome as a story tool. Like, I've fucked around with it a little bit back in the day. I saw, it's not important. I'm gonna go play Danganronpa 2. I have all the games to play. I want to chomp at the bit for story content, but in the 3 years between original and Danganronpa 2, this would have been a godsend. But it's a clean the school simulator, because Monokuma wakes you up 6 months early, wakes everybody up, and is like, hey, I'm going to wipe this memory later, so I'm just going to come out and tell you the world is shitty and everything sucks, but I need you to clean the school for me. So do it, or I'll kill you right here, right now. So you go and get all of the social links that you didn't get before, and you have to manage your resources on, like, okay, well, so-and-so worked a lot yesterday, so they're going to be tired if I work them today, but I have to make sure that the cafeteria gets cleaned and this and that and the other. And you have to, like, build up your resources over like 100 days. And every day that you succeed and hit all of your marks, you get a date coupon, and you can use that date coupon to go and see a social link. And so it's really good,
very
actually.
Elaborate.
Is incredibly elaborate and really cool. And I also love the added lore of, like, I woke you up because I needed to get the school ship shape so that I could then put you back to sleep, re-erase your memories again.
I didn't realize it was, like, technically canon. That's really funny.
Yeah, it's really good. I really, really enjoy it, but we're now in the future. You should continue on and play Danganronpa 2 and Danganronpa Ultra Despair Girls and Danganronpa 3 Goodbye Despair.
Hell yeah. Eli, final thoughts.
Yeah.
It was good. I left me with more questions than answers, but as a Twin Peaks fan, I can't complain about that.
You're like, well, that's just how it goes sometimes.
This is life.
Do you think you will be downloading the other 3 games for your newly christened Vita?
No, because I have already started spoiling myself on everything because I don't feel like playing the other games.
Fair.
I might play them at some point just to see it happen, but I may actually watch the anime at some point.
So, fun fact, Danganronpa 3, the anime, is a made-up conclusion to fill up the loose ends that are from Danganronpa 1 and 2. It is not an anime based on Danganronpa 3. So if you want Danganronpa 3, you either got to play the game or look up a Let's Play or spoil it or something like that.
Actually,
but they are separate stories.
Yeah, I realize I should probably fill people in just in case they are curious. Yeah, so if you want to play the whole series, here's what you're in for. In case you're curious, like, how much of equipment is this, right? It's not too much. You got Danganronpa 1. You got Danganronpa 2. Straightforward. Danganronpa 1 has an anime adaptation. I've actually heard it's not very good. That's what I've heard. You got Danganronpa 2, which I think, not like it's terrible, but like people say like, it's not really that good. You got Danganronpa 2, which I believe has an anime adaptation. I don't really know if it does or not.
I think it does. I don't know.
Then you have Danganronpa Ultra Despair Girls, which is a third-person action game set in the Danganronpa universe that does not involve being trapped in school and forced to kill each other. You're in the outside world and you get a lot of lore and stuff like that. It's a very interesting game. I'd say it's my least favorite Danganronpa game, but I like it quite a bit. Mostly because the writing is excellent and the main characters, who I will not spoil who they are wonderful. Actually, I am going to spoil it. It's fine. It's like in the description of the game. The main characters are, it turns out Makoto had a little sister, and she's the cutest kid on the fucking planet. And the other main character is Toko. Like literally Toko. But later. And she's still goddamn obsessed with Byakuya. And you get all that creepy, upsetting Toko writing, which is great. So they're doing like third person action game stuff. Then there's Danganronpa 3, the anime, which is a sequel to Danganronpa 1 and 2. It's like, you play Danganronpa 1, you play Danganronpa 2, it kind of, sort of, a little bit tells a coherent story. I won't go too much into how coherent it is. What happens next, right? What happens after Danganronpa 2? It's Danganronpa 3. Then they make Danganronpa V3, which is the third game. And it is a completely separate thing, and I'm not going to say nothing else about it, but it's not the same as the anime. I actually haven't seen the anime, Danganronpa 3. But yeah, so technically, if you like decide you love the series and you're a completionist, don't think, oh, I shouldn't watch the Danganronpa 3 anime until after playing the game. No, actually, the order goes 1, 2, Despair Girls, 3, the anime, V3. So
yes.
Thought I should explain that because it is a little bit confusing if you're not already a fan.
Gotcha.
And
as far as I know, that's it.
Yeah. Who knows if there will be a V4 and they'll find some other hole in the story to plug in.
V3 ends unimaginably conclusively. So I cannot possibly imagine there being a 4. But I say that, they're probably going to announce it tomorrow.
Insert the clip of Maddy 20 minutes ago of, these games are really good at making you think there's no way there could possibly be a sequel, and then they put one in anyways.
I feel like they're literally just like, we're making another one because we love money, but also we're geniuses, so it's going to be good anyway.
Yeah. It's so good. But that's a wrap for movie night. We will either watch the Battle Royale movie or
we were talking about Knives Out.
Knives Out.
I don't want to deal with emotions. I would much prefer to do Knives Out if that's chill with y'all.
I'm fine with Knives Out
because that movie owns.
Yeah, I haven't seen Knives Out, so yeah, we'll do Knives Out. I've forgotten what the other movie was. So thinking, I know I am. I didn't watch it.
Wait, no, you shouldn't. You shouldn't do the notes on. I don't want you to fucking pause the movie every 5 seconds. One of us will do the notes so you can just watch it.
Yeah, I didn't want to watch Knives Out when it came out because I knew that Star Wars was coming out and Star Wars wasn't going to be as good. God damn it, no, we can't do Star Wars for 40 minutes. We got in this podcast.
Knives Out.
I've been Sam Allman.
Knives Out, or as I like to call it, Star Wars Episode 9.
Sailor Eli Warren. Oh my god.
Sam, you have to do the actual sign-off. We can't actually do that.
I have too much ADHD for this.
For RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I've been Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
You have to do the with the Ko-Fi. And
we didn't.
You have to do that part,
that
Sam. I get that it's a funny bit that you're doing, but you can't actually do the funny bit. You have to actually do the sign-off.
Fine. If you like what you hear, you can hit us up on the web at www.rpgbook.club. It has links to all of our socials, including our super awesome Discord, where we have a lot of new friends. And Chasen is back after a sabbatical, and Teal is back after a much more emotional sabbatical. I mean, I don't know. Chasen didn't elaborate. Teal is having a rough time. But shout outs to Teal. He's great. Love it. I mean, it's also probably Tyel, because it's a made up elven looking word, and I say teal in my head, and I'm saying it out loud now on the internet. But shout outs to everybody there. They're all great. You should come and hang out with us. If you like us enough that you want to pay us money dollars, you can do so at ko-fi.com/RPG Book Club and buy us a little bit of a video game, and we'll spend that money to play video games that you guys like. Ko-fi related, probably after I move, I will open up commissions again. So if there's a game that you really want us to play that's under 20 hours, that you can commission it, and we will do it as a bonus episode, just willy-nilly whenever we have time. And I feel I will finally have time to do it, mostly because of .hack's fault. I will finally have time to open up commissions after I move. So if you're champing at the bit for us to play a thing, and it's not Higurashi 2, you can throw some ducats in our buckets.
I think that they should have less COVID and more Ko-fi, if you ask me.
Well, on that note, as always, I've been Sam Allman.
I've been Elias Sailor Eli Warren. I just totally failed at saying my own name.
I'm Maddy Grace Alexandra, twitch.tv/spifflewebin, and I'm really excited to do a lot less talking next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Toodaloo.
Love y'all.
I'm ready to go. I have no opinions on Pokemon or Star Wars, so we can get...
What's Pokemon? What Star Wars?
What about Star Trek?
Hold on.
What? You know what? I'm just gonna be safe. What Star Trek? I'm not even gonna go there. I'm forgetting my opinions on all things.
That's a good idea.
Except maybe Dragon Quest.
What's Dragon Quest?
You know what?
I shouldn't have asked that. No,
you know what? You know what?
Hi, everybody.
I don't know.
Hey, Scarlet.
What? Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Sorry, Scar, we can't hear you anymore. You're not talking into the microphone, but that's okay.
Or she can't hear us. I don't know. That was adorable, though.
Oh, that was the cutest thing I've heard in my entire hecking life. My entire gosh darn life. I'm not cursing because there's a child.
Your whole ding dang life.
My whole ding dang gosh tootin' life.
Gosh tootin'.
Gosh tootin'. Heckin' duper.